Well, good morning, everyone. This is follow-up, part B or part 2 to the question on contact adhesives for applying drum finish. And I promised the other day, I think I did it on Thursday or Friday, that I would let this sit. I said overnight. I just did it on the weekend. Let it set over the weekend, just because I know, like paint, for example, paint will dry to the touch and it can be handled. Just like contact cement, it will dry to the touch and then you push it on and it's there. But I still think that giving it a little bit of time might do something chemically to allow this to completely cure. I don't know. I mean, you can certainly use it, but for the purposes of testing, that's how I wanted to do it. But before we get on with the reveal, let's talk about two other things, really. I am going to do a test that I will post my results on with these. You probably have all been seeing this pop up on like Facebook. These welding rods, these sort of like the miracle welding rod. It's like a weld aluminum, and it's really probably it's a brazing compound, right? It's a brazing wire of some sort. And you use a torch like this. That's acetylene. I don't. That gets pretty hot. So I'm gonna do a video on that. Maybe doing some kind of a piece of aluminum, like maybe a drum repair type thing. I work in a band instrument repair shop, so that may be useful. And I'm going to try and see how it works in real life. I don't believe you can weld anything other than aluminum. I also picked up one of these. I want to give this a shot. There are some applications where I've needed something that would cure very, very quickly. And I don't know, this looks promising. So we'll do some videos on that. And thirdly, and now this gets to relating to the topic at hand. We've all heard about the 30NF. I keep saying 30NF. It's NF30, isn't it? 30NF. That's correct. For drum recovering. But back in the day, remember, I recovered my first, rewrapped my first drums in 1983, I think, and got my stuff from Precision Drum Company. I had two small concert toms that I wanted to rewrap because they were damaged in a fire. Bought them from a friend, took off the finish. They were Tama Imperial Stars, so it wasn't a problem getting the material to come off. And anyway, in the day, the red can Weldwood contact cement was the golden ticket. That's what was recommended. Always the red stuff, not the solvent or the water based, but the solvent based stinky stuff. And this works great, no question about it. Now I don't know if any of the plastics have changed their formulation where this could damage them, but just remember, this was the recommendation back in the day, and then it's changed in the last 10 or 15 years to this. And we all are frustrated because it's like 3M product. Why isn't this available at every Lowe's, every Home Depot, every hardware store, and every Walmart on the planet? It's non-flammable. That means there's no hazmat fees or hazmat concerns for shipping. But it's not available, so you have to search it out, and you have to pay your $40 or whatever to get it. And your average drum rewrap, you could probably get by with 16-ounce pint rather than a quart, which is two of these, right? For $6. Now, there's been some feedback on the first video. It's like, well, you don't watch out, because if you care about it, you'll do the right thing, which would imply this. When not so long ago, the right thing was this. And I even believe I remember, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there were certain types of covering. And I think the black onyx, the 60s black onyx, was one that they recommended using acetone for the pearl on pearl, the plastic on plastic bond. And I thought, how does that work without getting it all over everything? And of course, the theory would be that the acetone would dissolve that plastic to an extent and create a fused bond, or really a weld. So anyway, we've gone from that to that. And I'm like, there's a few thousand of us doing this kind of thing on any regular basis. And I thought, well, this is readily available. And that's my biggest frustration. It works similarly. It looks similar when it's dry. I think this has got a little bit heavier viscosity than the Weldwood. But with all that being said, I replaced the headliner in my car a couple years ago. And it was one of these deals where you could go and you buy the fabric, and it was like, I don't know, $60, and then they recommended the headliner spray. This is the only thing you can use on it. And it was like, I don't know, $20 for a can of spray. And I thought, well, there's great sprays available at the hardware store, like 3M Super 77 and 3M Maximum Strength or High Strength 90. And I thought, well, no, I'll do the right thing, right? The correct thing. So I ordered their spray, which basically was a can like this with this type of nozzle. It wasn't named. The make wasn't named. But it was like $20. And that headliner started going, whoop. It's starting to droop again. It didn't last not even a year. And that was pretty frustrating because, I ordered the thing that was supposed to be used. And I knew that the 3M spray is not that good. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And I applied it exactly like they said, the overlapping pattern, yada, yada, yada. And it's not like I don't work with my hands much. I kind of know how to follow directions. It didn't work well. 3M adhesive, spray adhesives, I'm not sold on these. I use them in the shop for certain things, maybe gluing down a fabric lining in a trumpet case or something, but even there, it's a little iffy. There are better options. And this stuff we use a lot of this, but it smells. So let's get at it. This is the board that I showed the other day, right? And I did, off camera, I did another one. And this is a piece of oak veneer. And again, I did the Weldwood and the 3M, and I'm just gonna try that, see how that works. So, drum roll, please. Let's try it. The moment we've all been waiting for. Let's try it with the finger test. Let's go with the Weldwood first. I'm gonna just get under. I'm gonna try and peel the top layer off the bottom layer, and that's tough. I'm getting under there though. Ooh, that kind of hurts. All right, so that's not really. I'll use the putty knife. I'll just start it. Okay, we'll just get it started and see how it. That's pretty tough. That is pretty strong. This is the Weldwood. All right, I'm just going to get under here. Now, obviously, anything's going to come off eventually. Okay, that came off. Let's try the 3M. Do the same thing. I realize this is a bit of a subjective test, as opposed to objective, where you're using, something to measure your force and all that. All right, so I'm getting under here. It feels about the same in terms of strength. I think somebody commented, it's like, well, if you want it done right, use the right stuff, or you'll regret it. It might work at first, but you'll regret it. Well, that may be. But do you remember not so long ago, I think it was in the early 80s, Ludwig was having a problem with their wraps staying down at the seam. And this one's coming off too, just fine. Now, this is interesting, folks. The 3M brand, the Fast Bond, this is kind of smooth, and most of the finishes, or most of the adhesive, is still left on here, whereas the Weldwood green can, there's some of the stuff left on the smooth plastic, and a lot of it came off of this piece. So this piece, it released, but it left it on here. This one, it was all left on this side, and this is the 3M. Well, there you go. Let's try peeling it off of the, this is the maple. Let me get under here. The Weldwood brand. The other thing is, you know, I'm using such a small sample piece. You know, if it were on a drum, like a 8-inch tom or a 10-inch tom, you know, it's like scale model railroads, you know. It's, the strength isn't to scale either, you know, for what I'm working on here. But let's just go ahead, and those first two pieces seem to come up about the same for me. This is holding on pretty darn tenacious. Let me get under here. I know I could peel it from this end, peel it back really quick and easy, but that's darn strong. That ain't coming off anytime easy. Man, I wish I could. You don't need to see my mug. That's pretty strong. That's the Weldwood stuff. You know, and just as an aside, I remember refinishing my drums. I have a Ludwig set that I rewrapped. That's the Weldwood. And we've got most of the contact cement on contact cement left. Now let's try the 3M. And similarly, it's fairly easy to start with a tool like this. But anyway, I remember rewrapping a kit, and I ordered stuff from, remember that company Sam Bernard? I don't know if it's Gem and Sam now, if it's the same dude, but I remember ordering that stuff, and when I ordered it, he's like, no, man, you got to use the adhesive tape. That's the thing. That's what everybody's using now. The adhesive tape is really good, really strong, and talked me into it, and I did. And I totally regretted that because it didn't stay put. Yeah, this is pretty tenacious. You know, get it started like the other one. Now, again, I'm trying to be as scientific as possible, and I know that it's not a completely objective test. But for my money, you know, there's the fear factor, right? It's like, well, don't ever do this because you'll only regret it. Well, I regretted using the store-bought adhesive, doing my headliner. I regretted using the tape that was supposed to be the cat's pajamas for that Ludwig kit back in, I did that in like 89, something like that, 88, 89. That was a mistake. And again, I'm just trying to see, is there an alternative to this that's readily available that will work? Now I say, well, over time it might not hold up. Well, over time, your drum finish is failing, and that's why you're buying this stuff and recovering your drums, right? Over time, you know, putting your drums in and out of hot cars and cold cars and taking them into a club to play. All right, so this is the other piece on the oak. Here's the Weldwood. Get that started. And peel it back. pretty darn tough stuff. And I'm trying to pull it this way, and I can't. Without using a tool, that's not coming off anytime soon. Okay. That's the Weldwood green can. Now here's the 3M Fast Bond. Do it just like I did that. Start it. I have a sister that used to work for 3M up in St. Paul. She worked in the tape division. And they made some pretty impressive products, and they still do. And this contact cement is really good stuff. But I will tell you what. Emma gonna tell you what. Emma gonna tell you what. So this is the 3M, and this is the Weldwood. You can do what you want, and that's the beauty of it. I'm trying to give as an objective test as I can, and I realize it's not 100% objective, but nobody else is doing a test out there. Nobody else has come up with anything. $40, $6. Every hardware and store in the world has this that I've ever been to. Every Menards, every Home Depot, every Lowe's, every woodworking store, and all the small mom and pop hardware stores have this. This is a great product. I've used it a lot. I like it a lot. It's expensive. It's harder to get. You definitely have to plan ahead if you want to get this. You have to order it in. You're not going to walk down to a Lowe's, a Menards, or Home Depot and get it. Why? I mean, they should have it readily available. If it's that good, it should be readily available. And I've called all my lumber, like all the millwork places, all the woodworking shops in town. Nobody carries it. I don't understand that. And then this is available from everywhere, as is this. And I know the formula of this has changed a little bit over the years, but this is what I always used to use, and it worked well. It just smells awful, and it is a little harder to work with because it gets sticky as it gets tacky, and this dries in like 10 minutes to the touch, whereas these guys dry in about 30 minutes to the touch, and so they're much easier to work with a foam brush. So there you go. Do what you want, but my tests tell me what I need to know. And I've got a bunch in here, and I'll certainly use it. But if you've got just maybe a small project, or you just want to get into this whole drum rewrap thing, and you just want to try it, go ahead and pick up a can of this and give it a go and see what you think. Look for the welding rod. Everybody's advertising this stuff. I think you partner with some Chinese company, because there's like, I don't know, all kinds of I don't even know the names of all these, but they're all different people advertising this stuff, and they range from $15 for 10 rods to $30, and I think it's the same thing. Now the guys that are selling them for $30, I think they're probably ordering this in from China, and they're stocking it stateside, which if they are, great, because this took me a month to get, and it was $15. So anyway, enjoy the week.